Welcome back, my gardening friends, to a very noisy place. But this is a review and update on the strimmer. Everything's in the description below. And this is my nettle patch, and as you can see, it's full of rubbish, debris. I want to knock all this back so that I can harvest the nettles as they grow at the right time of the season to make my nettle plant food. So I'll set you up, show you a little bit, and then I'll clear it. Steve from Digwell Greenfingers did say that pressing the trigger, once you release the trigger, it lets out a bit more cord and then that gets cut off. So just limit the amount of times you're on and off. And also somebody had issues with getting the handle on. The company was very good in the end in sorting out the customer's issues. He came through me on one of my reviews, and hopefully a satisfied customer. So 5 minutes work now is going to save me a lot of time when we actually do the liquid plant food. We'll nip up the allotment now and I'll just show them what I actually make from the nettle tea and where we use it. And don't forget, the equipment is in the description below. So this is where I keep all my liquid plant foods. The manure runoff, which is bins that collect all the juices. We try and stop the rain from getting in. Comfrey plant food, that's steeped in water from the comfrey plant. That's the leaves, stems and everything. And then there's the nettle food, and I've just noticed that we're a little bit of a sinkage there. So I'll try and empty that this time and make that a little bit stronger. When we designed this with all the wildlife holes and all the stuff that we've got behind, straw, etc., hedgehog house, on the hashtag starting a new allotment, I probably didn't think about this. That was just a little cubby hole to keep all the sacks, the 1 ton builder's bags that I use to collect my leaves. And yeah, there's the nettle plant food, so we'll be using that today on blackberries. As you can see now, the shoots are just started to come on those. The same with some summer fruiting raspberries. And the autumn fruiting raspberries are also coming to life. You know these are autumn fruiting because we cut these off right at the bottom. Summer fruiting, the fruit comes on the stems that grew last year, the previous year shall we say. And all the plants in the fruit cage, bar from the blueberries, if they're still alive. In actual fact, there's a little bit of life there, but as you can see, we can give these a nice nettle feed, plenty of nitrogen in it, which creates green growth. They've already had the log ashes for the potash, and I do get some lovely crops. So if you're like the content of this video, then why not consider subscribing. Now you have to be careful when gathering water. Didn't prepare this very well, did I? I always use the same barrel for collecting water. Because any remnants of the plant food in the can that goes in there, it'll just create the water to go green, and lots of bacteria will be produced, and maybe not as good for some of the other plants that you want to feed. But I'm doing a 50-50. I normally give the tank a stir, but I've got all my long roots on there today, so we'll leave that as it is. But it certainly does smell. I collect enough plant food to last me into the following year. People say to me, will it keep? It stinks, it's still good. I've never had any issues. I've never really emptied this tank and put fresh in. As the tanks drop down, I've topped it up with the fresh nettle tea. I normally get a blue barrel full, compress it down, and then top it up with water about halfway, let it sink a little bit, put a weight on it, take that weight off because it'll just get too messy, and then we leave it for a few weeks, but I end up leaving it months. Then at the end of the season we top this up. But everybody knows around the allotments when I'm stirring my nettle tea up. You may ask, how much do you water? Well, I don't really know. Whatever you think. The ground's nice and damp, and there's a nice colour there. There's no harm in actually doing this a little bit and then giving it another application after a week or so. It just gives the fruit bushes something to feed on, to give lots of green growth, and hopefully then produce the flowers. As soon as the flowers are produced, or signs that they're coming, we feed with comfrey, totally different plant food, and that helps with the fruiting side of it, all the nutrients that they need. So it's all for free. Let's look at what else we get for free while you're here. Recently I managed to get some compost. This is what's unscrupulously dumped by the cannabis growers. There's about 900 litres there, about 600 or 700 there. I don't count it properly, and there's another pile just here because I've been filling these pallet collar beds up. Made a little bit more progress from a previous video, so why not consider subscribing? Yeah, you don't know what you're missing. Here's some of the compost that I picked up that I wasn't quite happy with the clay balls in, but it makes a great base, moisture retention and aeration. And some of this soil was from my giant veg the year before. When we line the pallet collars, we do the first pallet collar there, and then we do one over the top. So when we get the sinkage over time, it breaks the staples off and drags the plastic down. So by doing the first layer right at the bottom layer will sink, and hopefully this second layer at the top will stay as it is. Hopefully it will work. It's got to be better than this. So there's my leaf collection. So 20 bags is actually the 1 ton builder's bags, and we started collecting the compost in 2014, and January we got 300 litres. I've got to add that on, and then March up to yet we've got 1700 litres roughly. I underestimate. So we're close to 31,000 now, well over 31,000 probably. Of course it is, 32,000 litres of compost into my growing spaces, which means any soil that I do get from my beds before we turn them into raised beds, no dig, we have soil spare. and we just mix in whatever we've got. These are the leaf mould, the bits that come straight through the trommel, all the big bits. That's homemade. Clive. Jason and Colleen always remind me it's only cost me £12.50 to build that. We can add some of the compost with the perlite that we find. Wood chips from the paths. These are 4 years old. And this is what wood chips look like when they've been sifted. This is the 2-year-old leaf mould. Last year's homemade compost that we added to all the containers. This is the same stuff we saw earlier. And then the cocoa coir with nothing else in. Just a few of the amendments to create those beds for free. And of course, we collect water wherever we can, using the siphoning system, so those pipes just loop all the way along, and we can collect water from the end barrel, or we can pop the wicks in to draw the moisture out of those barrels into these beds. Have we got any carrot seedlings up yet? Not too sure whether they're carrot seedlings or weeds, because obviously all this compost hasn't been treated again, but it was for free. These are the manure runoff bins. This one was used regular before the pandemic. It's got cocoa coir at the moment, and we collect everything at the bottom there. And basically all it is the bottom of an IBC. These IBCs had been out in the sunshine and they deteriorated at the top, so I cut them down. We've managed to salvage all the compost that we collected during the pandemic. There's a filter there, and any manure runoff will go there into that container, and then we top this bin up. And it is black gold, literally excellent as nitrogen feed for our growing spaces. And of course we don't forget about the wildlife and the nature, the bugs, pollinators. We've created spaces here for those, and lots of the tulip bulbs are now coming to the surface, even though it's bitterly cold for March here in the UK at the moment. And I haven't seen my fish for a while, but I don't blame them for hiding underneath all this. We created a place for the frogs and toads in there with a ramp, and obviously there's a ramp there for anything to climb out, even Mr. Tortoise there, and all the other things that we've collected over the years. Please consider subscribing, hit the like or dislike button for the interaction. Please leave me a comment, look at the comments, give the comments a thumbs up if they warrant it, and why not join in with the comments. We'll talk about anything on this channel, and I'll reply to every comment that is posted, as long as it's not from one of those naughty sites. And everybody who comments has the right to report those. Happy gardening to you all. Till next time, my friends. Ta-ra for now.